desert is a place like no other. Peaceful, vast, and still. Until in an instant, it's not. Monsoon storms can wreak havoc and leave as fast as they come.
We had a really big rainstorm. It was the next morning. The rainstorm had happened overnight, and it was the morning, and kind of things were looking relatively normal.
But in July of 2017,
I was just getting ready to leave my property. I jumped in my truck and I was heading up to my office.
there was no calm after the storm for Brad Fanton.
All of a sudden I saw a big poof of like dust. And then all of a sudden, I just saw the earth just starting to give way and cave in, and it just kind of collapsed, and then it just kind of kept collapsing.
A giant earth fissure broke through his RV manufacturing business in Apache Junction, almost swallowing thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And that is just one of dozens of fissures in Arizona that don't look like cracks, but more like canyons. The best way to get a scope of how big these things are is from up here in the news chopper. Take a look at these aerial views. You can see just how long this fissure is over the Harquahala Valley, stretching nearly 1.5 miles. But check out this view from inside the fissure. Even more impressive, these massive cracks can be 30 feet deep in the earth, and geologists say not only will they keep happening, but the damage they can do is devastating.
We have hundreds of miles of fissures mapped throughout the state. It's hard to fix in a permanent way. USG
research geologist Joe Cook has been studying and mapping fissures since 2007. They open after big storms, but the reason these form is from all the groundwater pumping Arizona farmers did up until the 90s, sucking water out of the ground, leaving it hollow underneath. Most of that has stopped, but not for long.
We're right at that kind of drought declaration at Lake Mead, so it could be soon.
Pinal County says farmers will start pumping again because that's what the Arizona Drought Contingency Plan calls for. The problem is geologists don't know where these fissures are until they open up. They could be anywhere. They've swallowed animals like this baby calf that had to be rescued in Cochise County.
We were able to pry him out and rescue the cow, but if we didn't get there, then I'm sure he would have just expired.
But Joe says there's no telling when a huge crack could open up under homes. Just looking at this map, the same fissure that broke through the street into Brad's business is right next to an entire neighborhood and could break through at any time. And what's worse,
insurance doesn't cover this.
The reason why?
The insurance company told me this is an act of God. Well, okay, so that's why I didn't get any coverage for my properties. It's not an act of God, it's an act of the state.
Brad spent $20,000 of his own money on a hopefully permanent fix. But the street right in front of his business collapsed again last year during a storm, even after the county fixed it. Joe says it's only a Band-Aid fix that's only covering an open wound. But Pinal County says they're doing the best they can.
There's not an end in sight right now because it doesn't seem like we have a plan to stop using groundwater.
And that leaves Brad going through what you've gone through. Would you have still bought this?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Anxiously awaiting the looming monsoon.
Do I close the doors, go out of business because I have a fissure on my property? Of course not. But it's nerve-wracking to know that, there's a potential that the land could collapse at any time, and you don't know.
For all he knows, his successful business could literally go under.
Boy, our desert is constantly changing. What was the response from the state?
Yeah, so I talked to Pinal County. They referred me to the Arizona Department of Water Resources. They're supposed to be the ones who will monitor these farmers, who will regulate them. I asked them if there's any limitations of how much water they could pump and if they have any response to concerned residents and business owners about this groundwater pumping. And all they were able to tell me was they are unable to provide us a response.
No response at all?
No, and I asked them since last week. It's been about a week of this, and that was all they said today.
Very interesting. Brianna Whitney, thank you.